Hey, how's it going, everybody out there? We're streaming here live today from the 608 downtown Madison real estate office here. I am Dan Bertelson, and with me is
Dominic Colosimo. Hi, everybody.
Hey, how's it going? So we're just gonna we're doing our real estate market update today. We're gonna be talking about a few different topics. Hopefully, everyone can hear us okay. And if you would, please, if you're on Facebook or something, give us a comment. Let us know everything. You can hear us okay and all that. We're going to be talking about current local market environments, kind of what we see going on here locally in Madison, Wisconsin. We're going to be talking a little bit about speculating markets as far as like what's going on with like universities, things going online. There's a lot of talk of universities outside the main core hubs and some of these expanding schools maybe closing down. What's that going to do for real estate? What's that going to do to different market environments across the country? And then we'll probably just wrap it up with like what's next for real estate, buyers and sellers right now, like what's going on. So with that being said, Dominic, why don't you take it from there? And like what are you seeing out there right now that you think is important for people to know, or anything else? Obviously, and I'll bring up the screen here. Yeah. We've got the fall inventory means bidding wars. So I think that kind of sets it up for you pretty good there.
Yeah, thanks, Dan. Yeah, I think when we look at the national headlines, we're seeing a lot of the same thing here locally. So that RE/MAX national headline,
I think just hit the news. We're starting to see that in our market too. So when you are looking at falling inventory levels, that tends to push prices higher, and we're seeing that evident in our market as well. So I pulled some of the most recent MLS statistics for us, looking specifically at the last 14 days.
14, all right. Last 14 days.
And what we're seeing is 315 new homes in our market hit the market, and we sold 355.
Oh, no.
That's a 40. I think we're 40 in the hole.
Yeah, and I'm going to be a little bit of a smart out here. Hey, Justin Wickens, how you doing out there, sir? Bye. No wait. Yeah. He's right. There's just a lot of pressure. This is not a new narrative. However, we are reaching a period of time where we were hoping those two numbers that Dominic just gave would be the opposite of what they are.
Yeah.
And not, together. So, oh boy. We are, the positive thing is we did see a little bit drier year, at least where we live here currently. That's enabled people to build and try and gain some ground on some of this over demand that's hitting us. What else, Dominic, are you seeing? And maybe just from the general consumer right now. Obviously, okay, you have people that the buyers are struggling then. It's way too easy for the sellers, almost so easy that they're concerned about their transitions.
Yeah.
What else do you see out there that you think is most important for the consumer to be looking at right now or considering?
I think, Dan, as everyone adjusts to kind of this new normal, and everyone's life has their own new normal on top of that, we're seeing a lot of people staying put, upgrading their homes.
We're seeing first-time home buyers who are in a condo now looking at first-time home buying, typically in a single-family home, because they're having more buyer power with lower interest rates, and their work from home might be here to stay for a lot of people. So I think the Midwest is going to benefit, and Madison specifically, due to the nature of our market. We're going to be able to take some people who traditionally had to stay in the Bay Area or the New York. If you look what's happening in San Francisco and New York, rental rates are going down because vacancy rates are going up. We're seeing the opposite happen in the Midwest, whether climate change is affecting it, the fires in California, or people not having to stay tied to, the tech that is the Bay Area. So we're seeing all of that benefit us in our market. It's hard for our buyers. It's great for our sellers. So I think as we continue to adjust to this, traditionally we would see a typical lull heading into August as people adjust to being back in school. We're not feeling that this year.
Right. And that it's showing too up in just to give everybody some information out there. Obviously people that are doing school from home, and then there's lots of rural areas that went back to school as normal, and that's where we're seeing a lot of obvious clash. Like we're going to see a lot of clash this year in a lot of things, a lot of deunification going on. But with the schools specifically, that's what I wanted to talk a little bit about. the speculation of where people live. And I'm currently working with somebody who is, they're relocating out to another market where there are 3 small cities outside of a larger city. It's Denver, but there's markets around Denver, right, that they're looking at. And it's funny, them coming from a market like Madison, where there is a university here, a hub of a university, and not one of the, the offshoots of that main university or whatever. How is that going to affect which towns people are going to now, and, where the jobs might be and everything? And I think one of the most anxious parts of it for everybody is like, nobody has the crystal ball, obviously. So what are people to do next? And I think investors are almost, instead of trying to answer that question, they're like, well, we do know commercial is going to do this. We do know this part's going to do that. So they're trying to kind of evade what is going to happen to the residential markets everywhere. And I think I can answer it really well. I got that crystal ball, and here's the answer. We don't know for sure. And I don't mean to be such a loser about that answer. However, what we do know is it is going to be statistically very, very hard for anybody to lose value in the properties that they own. We do not know the rate at which sales will go up or down depending on what's going on with COVID, the markets, the overall economy, Wall Street, everything. We don't know. Nobody does. If they're telling you they do, and they're telling you they know exactly what you should do right now, down to the T, I would possibly consider running away. I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. But we're also seeing that evolve in the expectations of what our roles as agents and brokers are too. So as we adjust and think through, like, hey, we're having less people ask us about the nature of a transaction and more of the strategy. We have people listening to national headlines that are coming to us and say, hey, help us digest that on a local level. Tell me what's actually happening in Madison and Cleveland and Chicago and Detroit and Minneapolis, and really like gain insight into that. And Madison has been a really, really diverse economy. We've had every type of government, business, healthcare, business parks are popping up like crazy. University retention here is a measurement that a lot of universities, some of the Big Ten schools use. They say how many of our graduates
are staying local. And for UW and Madison specifically, it's a higher number than where I would say Purdue. Everyone's like, let's get out of Indiana. So when you look at our role, it's less about how do we get you a home and from buying to close. We have had more conversations with clients beyond just the traditional buy, sell, build, invest. It's been more about, tell me what my home is worth. Tell me strategically, should I do the bathroom remodel and stay put, or should I sell and upgrade? Should I downsize? Should I be thinking about a move outside of Madison right now? It's become more of a consulting and strategic role with a lot of our clients.
Well, and I think what you hit on is something I would like to share and hit on. The audio is a little bit echoey. Thank you for letting me know there, Jesse Peters. I don't know. We have one phone running as a backup camera right now, unfortunately, so that little bit of echoey will maybe just calm down if we quiet down just ever so slightly. But anyway, what I was going to say is in this market, when people are really, it's not one size fits all. And because of what COVID is doing, and I'll use that last example, if you're moving from X into Y because of a job versus X to Y because of a school versus maybe the entire economy of that town, maybe the entire economy of that place is now going to change, whether it be because of COVID or some other industry influence of some kind. I think that, it's really important to understand for that. It's not just about should I buy or should I sell? It's should I buy or sell in this location? And what am I doing next? And I think that comes into a little bit something you were telling me beforehand. You're seeing more and more clients show up at the door of the office saying, I don't really necessarily just need help buying or selling a home. They're saying, like, I have a house to sell and that's fine. I've got that. But I also own a 4-unit apartment building. I need to help my parents downsize, and they own this timeshare they bought into 15 years ago. Can you help me? And by the way, we're changing financial advisors.
Yep, we're seeing that a lot, and that's become a little bit of the new norm of our role, which gets me excited because instead of coming to me and saying at the end of the process, get me this home, they're coming to me well ahead and saying, help me formulate the plan. And it's way easier to be along that journey with folks. I had a buyer consult on Friday, and it was a son and a mom. Mom said, we're probably way too early. And, we're looking in the next 6 months. I'm like, you're late. I want to help most of you a year out to before 6 months out in order to make that a completely smooth transaction for you and process. Because there's a learning curve for first-time home buyers. There's a learning curve for first-time investors.
And isn't there a
Everybody.
catch up to getting in? I mean, to even getting at the market. And I'll give for instance, because I'll just say, we had somebody this morning send in a showing request for a listing that went on the market this morning, and they were very, very upset because the person, we told them, we were like, well, one of the issues that happened here is somebody bought it, and before we could even explain it, they're upset. They didn't look at it. They didn't, anything. They bought it sight unseen. It was a full price cash offer with zero, we're going to get that thing now. And it's hard, I think, and you can, Dom, you can certainly tell me if I'm wrong, but I think
it is.
The expectations are slightly different for everybody. And then also it might take you several weeks to get to the point where you're as ready to jump as this person has been over here. And maybe even they're a little bit further in the self-discovery portion of what they needed to know. Does any of that ring true?
No, I think that's completely true. And I think that we can save you so much time and money on the front end going in, or the front end going in prepared and going in with a plan of attack than we can if you bring us in right at the end thinking that you've done it all right yourself so far.
For sure.
And that's where we that's what gets us excited. And I think that when I think through, a lot of people think price is the only way to be competitive right now. There's way better strategies in place to be competitive. We were talking a little bit earlier, pre-underwriting clients, making sure that we can have a quicker close date if the seller's incentivized by that, versus just pumping up the price on everything. Price is a big factor.
Sure.
But there's other variables at play that help us be more strategic when we're along that ride with you.
Excellent. I think that's a great way to kind of close in. We already discussed we don't have the crystal ball, so what's next? What should people be doing? And I guess I'm going to give my closing part of advice, and then Dom, why don't you wrap it up and give your
Sure.
parting piece of advice for those that are out there right now, and you're going through whatever kind of times you're going through. Your house is really important. Where you live is obviously really important. It's probably getting a giant spotlight put on it right now. Take this opportunity, if you haven't in a long time, to not just look at your house from the standpoint of, do I like living here? Get a hold of a solid professional that's going to help you evaluate the big picture, and not even just this year or what might happen with COVID or whatever, but it's taking a lot longer for people to execute, as Dominic was saying, to execute their plans, their life plans, switching this to that, than they think. And having a good plan months, and if not years before you really need that plan, can really help flush out a lot of things that are going to either hold you up or potentially cost you money from getting in or out of the market when you wanted to, instead of when perhaps the market's forcing you to. So that's the advice that I will give, is if you haven't looked at the bigger picture of where you live, how you live, whom you're living with, lately, that in my mind is really something you should take a peek at. Dominic, what kind of advice, would you give, to these folks parting?
I think it's right along the same lines. You wouldn't talk to your financial advisor anytime you were just going to buy or sell a stock, right? So don't do the same thing with your home. For a lot of our clients, their home is the most expensive asset they have sometimes. Their real estate investment portfolio is a big part of that too. So
definitely is mine.
Don't just talk to your agent. Mine too. Don't just talk to your agent when it's time to buy or sell or transact. Really, really, and our new technology allows us to do that. We have in Booj, we have all of our real estate portfolios for all of our clients set up. So if they want a health checkup on their account or on their real estate portfolio, We can do that. We work with their financial advisors too. We can provide them a copy of their real estate assets, so there's no guessing on any of that stuff. And I think,
Very
taking
cool.
a comprehensive look at your wealth, don't just use your agent to buy and sell.
Excellent. So with that, as a longtime real estate dude, I will just say that there are people that are out there working as fly by night agents, quote unquote, and then there's people that are running businesses and are trying to build long-term clientele. I will part with also where you're getting your information out there. Just understand that there are technology platforms, and then there are real estate companies, and right now they're basically in two separate categories. We're still a real estate company that uses a lot of technology. And then there's now technology companies out there that are trying to obviously take the place of individual people, just like they are in most industries. And in some industries, I would argue, or I would admit, a machine or a person or a computer or artificial intelligence perhaps could do a better job, more efficient, whatever the positive one is in the pro side. When it comes to real estate today in 2020, and granted, I don't know everything. I've only been in business for 17 years, and I know there's tons of people, even right in our own firm, that blow those years out of the water, and they've seen way more. However, I think we've seen enough now to know that each individual situation in each market across the country, as well as the rules, regulations, and things that are going wrong with how you can invest, where you can invest, and how you should retire and everything else, is muddy enough now. If you haven't looked at it in a long time, please do. I don't have anything else. Madison, Wisconsin, Packers 1-0, baby. 1-0. What did you think? It was a little weird. It was a little weird, man.
Yeah, the fake people in the end zone.
The fake people in the end zone, knowing that the crowd noise was being like broadcasted. I don't know.
It was good to see football again.
Yeah. Anybody there? I don't know if there's anybody left live in the comments. We went 17 minutes. That's all right. But if anybody's live left in the comments, how did you feel about football? It was for me. Nothing sports wise feels as fun and important. I wasn't looking usually obviously first Packer game. I kind of tried to get excited. This he was more excited about the chips that he was going to get, that we were going to get to eat, than the Packer game. And I was almost right there with them. I was like, yeah the chips are going to be great. And Don, don't blaspheme out now on
we
here.
Just lost all our viewers,
right.
Man.
All the Packers fans. I'm a huge Packers fan. A huge Packers fan. I just don't feel the same this year. It just feels odd.
It does feel odd.
Brewers are wrapping up their season and people are like, wait, they're playing, and it's like they're having a blast out there and there's nobody in the stands.
I know.
It's crazy.
Tough on the players too.
Tough on everybody.
But, yep.
Thanks everyone for tuning in. That has tuned in. Justin, Jesse, and the rest of you that sent me harassing individual messages. We all appreciate it. Be kind, be well.
Take
care.
Bye, guys.